Okay, so today we'll be talking about Git, like basically just the surface of Git. Then you guys can go and read up on the rest, but I'll do my best to get it started. So GitHub is just like basically the Git that you guys already taught, but then the web-based part. So pushing it out to the cloud, so like everybody can be able to see what you're actually working on. So it's just like basically a portfolio, something like a portfolio for like us developers. So where the world can see what you're actually working on. So I'm going to like walk you through creating a GitHub account and creating repositories and working with GitHub. So for you to, first of all, you have to have a GitHub account. So you have to go to the GitHub website and sign up and stuff. So I put the link in the slide for you guys. I included the link for you guys in the slide, so you guys can use it to sign up, so it'll be easier for you people. So basically, if you go, the link looks like something like this. GitHub. No, because me, I already have an account. So it's going to like log in for me. But then all you have to do is to click here and then sign up. The usual way you have to sign up with either your Google account or your email and password. And then when you're done, you now sign in. So I think this one is like self-explanatory for you guys. So just once you sign up, the homepage will be looking something like this. This is the GitHub homepage. Apart from you don't have a picture like mine, and you won't have any repositories. So it will just be blank, but then it's going to be something like this. Then the next thing I'm going to be teaching people on is how to like create a repository, which is like the first thing you have to learn how to do on GitHub. So once you have your account, you have to create a repository to be able to store all the codes you've written so far, because I believe that you guys have just been writing all your codes locally. So you guys really have like different projects, but I saw on your laptop. Yeah, but at the end of this class, I believe like you guys will be able to push all of them to GitHub so everyone can see it. And also it will be here permanently, so you cannot like misplace it or anything. So you can always refer back to it. So you navigate to repository here. Then these are all my repositories. But then you can click on this plus sign here. Then click on new repository to create a new repository. Then you'll be asked to provide a repository name. That's the name related to what you're working on. So it's good to always use a name that's related to what you're working on. So when you're going back, you can actually find the repository in case you need it in the future. So for the purpose of this class, I'll just use I have a file that I'm going to as an example to show you guys. So I'll just name it. So the file is basically a to-do list app. Okay, so I'll just name it to-do list app. Then, because I think I already have to-do list. Then here you're supposed to like provide a description of what the project is all about. So I can just be like, it has to be very explanatory. So anybody that sees the project will know what the content is all about. An app that's just a basic something. So here you can actually choose if it's going to be either public or private. So you can make it private if you don't want anyone to view your code base, but then most times it's usually public unless you want it to be private. Then a README file. I'm going to talk about README at the end towards the end of the course. So, but then every project must always have a README. Like you should always have a README, because that's where you like explain to the people that come to your project how to use it, what it does, what to use to build it, and lots of other things. But then we'll talk about that later in the course. But then I'll just add it. Then once you're done providing all of this, you can leave this too for now. Like this is a little bit more advanced. Then you click on create repository to create a new repository. Then your repo has been created. So the next thing we'll talk about, like, is I inputted some basic commands, like for you guys, for those people that are saying that they don't really know about Git and stuffs. So I won't really want to dwell on this, because previously I thought I was going to be handling Git and GitHub, but then I later looked and I noticed that I was only handling GitHub. So then I just left it here for you guys. So in case you're not yet used to all the commands, you can come back and look at it. So we're moving to cloning a repository. So now you already have your remote repository. That's the one that is online, that is on GitHub. So in case you want to work on it, you have to clone it into your local system and then work on it. Because you can't work directly on GitHub. You're still going to be working on your local repository, but then you have to link them together. So you have to clone it. So if you click on this code here, you see this link. This is the link you're going to use to clone your repository. So you're going to copy this link and then go to your command, your git bash. I don't know what you guys are using, but I use git bash, and I'm sure that the person that taught you to Git would have advised people on using git bash, because that's the best place to start once you're starting. So basically, it's either you already have a file you want to, like a folder, a project you've been working on previously that you want to push, or you're still starting up the project. So I'm going to take you down like two parts of pushing to GitHub. So this first one is if you're just creating a repository for the first time and you've not yet worked on it yet. So you first of all make sure you have copied the link, like how I showed you people. You click, sorry, this is wrong. You click on code and then you make sure it's in HTTPS and then you copy the link. Then the first thing you want to do is to clone it. So for cloning, we use the command git clone, then you impute the link. I wrote this down in the slides, so you don't have to bother about like writing it down. So just once you get the slide, everything is actually here. So once you get the slide, all you have to do is just maybe copy it, or then it will be easier for you. So git clone, then you impute the link. Actually, another thing I wanted to talk about is where you're actually putting the file. I don't know if you taught you how to like use I'm just going to assume that you guys have done it, but then you have to be conversant with where you're where you're actually creating the repository, because now I've pasted it in the wrong place actually, but then it's still fine. So right now I'm in desktop here and here. but then I want to go back to desktop because that's where I actually planned on posting it previously. So to go back, that's like now I'm in certificates. To go back to the parent folder, you just have to do cd ... So it has gone back. So I'm going to do that again to go back to desktop. So this is where I previously planned to clone it to. So I'll do git clone. Let me go and copy the link again, I think. Clone. So now you've already linked your remote repository to a local repository. So now you can like start working on the file now. So to open it in VS Code, you just type in the command code dot, and it opens in VS Code. Like the repository will open in VS Code. So you can now start writing codes. So it's loading. I forgot to put it into the file. So I'll do ls to list the file. Like I'm trying to know what I used to save it as, to do list app. If you guys are not following in any way, you can actually drop. You can actually drop a message on the chat. Like if I'm too fast or something and you guys want me to go back, you can just drop a message in the chat. So then to open it in VS Code, I just do code dots and then it opens. So this is the file now. So you can now start writing your codes in the file. Someone says she's confused with the beginning. What exactly are you confused about? Be more specific. So you guys weren't taught LS and CD and the rest during your Git class. were you guys taught the basic command line commands? Because I actually had them, but then I was told that you guys already did a class on Git. So that's why I jumped that. So I need someone to tell me if you guys already did that.
You guys cannot remember. I thought you guys did something like this in the last class. They didn't teach you guys about make directory, CD, and rest of that.
I think it's only
No,
add
taught
and
us
something
only
like that.
Please let one person
Git
talk
add.
so we are not lost.
Like to add and to commit our code.
So you don't know about CD, like change directory and list items and make direct and make what's it called? To make directory. I don't. Is this something you can go over? Do you think it's something you can go over shortly?
Yeah, I can quickly rush through that.
Okay, no problem. Then it's fine if you do that. Okay, so guys, please just pay close attention to this now. It's not difficult at all. Stop worrying about the different. I saw someone saying that about she's just seeing code. Don't be afraid. It's not going to bite you. Please, just pay attention. You will get it. You understand?
Wait,
Just
sorry.
pay attention. You get it.
Where are you right?
Please, let's mute our mic. She's right. This is her Git bash. If you're using MacBook, it's called terminal. If you're using Windows, it's called command line. You get? So command line or Git bash. I use a MacBook, so I just call it terminal on my own. So, but you can find it from your search. I think your search icon. Just search for command line. Okay, someone say PowerShell. It depends. I just know it as terminal on my own end. So Adobe, you are good to go.
Okay, so I'll be teaching you guys just the basic commands you need to get started when using the command line. So the first one is CD, which is to navigate to change your directory to any of the directory that is below the one you're working on. So I think we should go through ls first. So ls is used to list the directories that, like the child directories inside the project that you're currently on. So now I'm currently on the to-do list, the one I created now. And the only file there currently, as you can see, is the README file. Then another command is cd. I saw most of you must have seen me use that before. Cd ... is to navigate to the parent directory. So now, like now I'm in to-do list app. Me typing in cd ... is basically going to take me back to desktop. So as you can see now, I'm in desktop. So it took me a step upward or a step backwards. So I'm going to do ls to list the directories I have in my desktop. As you can see, this is the app. This is the directory the directory, the repository I created now. So if you want to navigate to any of these, if you want to navigate to the child repository inside the desktop, you can just do cd, then you type in the name. So now I'm going to go to the to-do list. I'm going to go back here to the one I created. So you can just type in then the whole file, the whole repository name will come out, and then you can now press enter. Then you're inside the directory. The another one I would like to talk about is to create a directory. So it's basically mkdir, make directory. So if I want to create a directory inside this to-do list app, so let me say you want to start creating the to-do list app, and then you're going to need files like style.css and index.html. So I can basically create the files using that command mkdir to create the files. So if you want to list the files inside. So you can just do ls and you can see the file I just created now is inside there. Then also we're going to be needing a CSS file. So you can still use the same command to create a styles file. Then if I use ls, you see that it has been created. So the next one we'll be talking about to be touch. Yeah, touch is used to create a file. I think I made a mistake. Sorry. This is used to create a folder, not a file. So this thing I created now is a folder. So I'm going to delete that and create it again using touch, which is used to create a file. And to delete it, you use the command rm. So I'm going to use rm index.html. I'm also going to delete styles. Styles. Oh, I spelled it correct. I spelled it wrongly. Yeah. So to create a file, use the touch. So touch index dot HTML. Don't worry about the commands. I'll drop the file for you guys to make it easier for you. So I just want to like use, like, let me say, basically just use it to do an example and show you guys how it's done. But then you guys will get the commands later. Now also create one for CSS. So using ls, you can list all the files inside and directories inside. And you can see the ones I created now, they're inside. Then to remove it, the same way I did before, rmdir. Then you now impute the files, the file that you want to remove. But I don't want to delete that. I've already shown you guys that. So basically, I think that's all you need to, those are just the basic ones you need in order to get started. Then I won't really go through the Git init, and because someone said that you guys have already been taught that, so it won't be necessary to go through it again. But just in case they are here for, in case you want to refer to it. So we've already talked on cloning. So I don't know if a lot of you got that, but I won't be going back again, Sha. Then as you can see, the files I created, they're already showing here. So you can just navigate to any one of them and start writing your code. So I will then be teaching you guys how to, in case you already have a file that you've already been working on previously that you now want to now push to GitHub. So I'll be taking that route. I'm teaching you guys how to do that using your command line. So let me clear all I've done. To clear the code you've written, you just type in clear and press enter. That's according to Git bash. So I don't know what terminal you guys are working with. So let me say you have a file you're working with, you've already been previously working on. So all you have to do is to just navigate to the file itself. So I'm going to navigate to one of the files that I have that I haven't yet pushed to GitHub. That's this file here, to do app. So I want to navigate here and then push it to a new repository in GitHub. So I'll seed it into it. As I say, I've written like previous codes inside there. So I want to like push it to GitHub now. So instead of creating a repository and then writing inside it, I want to push the ones I've already created before to GitHub. So to do that, I'll go to GitHub and create another repository. So for those of you that were not here when I started, I'll be going to creating a repository again. So you navigate to your home page on GitHub. Then you click on new, or you can go here and then click on new repository. So I'll click on new. I'll name this testing. Just because I already have it to do, and if I click, or let me just name it to do. To do. One. Then I'll give it a description. Click on public, then click on add a README file. Then create a new repository. So I'll do the same thing I did before. I'll just click on code and I'll copy the link here, which I'll use to link it to the local file that I've written previously. So the command for doing this is different from the other one. So previously we did git clone. So that's basically when you want to clone the remote repository. That remote repository is the one on GitHub to your local repository. That's the one on your lab, on your system that you're working on locally. So for this one, we use git remote add origin and then the repository link. So I've already navigated to the app I want to link to my GitHub, which is this to-do app here. So I will initialize it by doing git init. I'm sure you guys have learned that already. So git init is basically like using git to track the file. So if I type in git init, it says initialize empty git repository, yeah? So then I'll now use this command, git remote add origin, then the link. And I'll paste the link. Oh, sorry. I have to go and copy it again. And I click enter. Then it has already linked the local one to the remote one. So all you have to do now is just to stage your file and then push it to GitHub, like the way you guys were taught last week. So you just do git add dot to add all to stage all the files, and then you commit it, git commit -m. After copying the link from GitHub, I came to my git bash. see, I don't know if you guys use Git Bash, but then I went through the video and I saw the guy telling you guys to actually install Git Bash. That's why I went ahead with Git Bash. But then you can use your normal command prompt or any other one that you guys have been using since. It's actually basically the same. As far as you have Git installed on your system, you can use any command line you want. So then you're going to commit it. So it's always advisable to use an explanatory commit message, something that if you go back, you'll be able to know what you actually, the code you actually wrote at that point in time. You know, not to make a mistake and then revert back to the wrong commit at. So I'm going to just use first commit, since it's my first commit. Then I'll now push to GitHub. Okay. I think that's the next thing we should be talking about. To push to GitHub, you just do git push, as you guys have been taught before. But then, instead of just writing git push, you can you have to add origin to like tell Git that you're trying to push to your remote branch. So you do git push origin main. I'm getting an error. I don't know where that's from. Let's go over to Git branching first, then we can now come back to that. So Git branch is just creating a separate line of development in Git repository. So it's just like you're working on a repository right now, then someone else can come and create another branch off of the one you're working on currently. So let me say the person wants to add to what you're already doing, but then you're already working on it. So all the person has to do is to create a branch from the one you're working on, and then start working on that one. Then once the person is done, then you guys can now merge the two branches together. So it's just like a separate line of development. So it's inside the same repository, but then there are two different branches, like there are two different line of development. So you guys can be working on different features at the same time. So the person doesn't have to wait for you to finish working and then continue from where you stopped. So you guys can be working simultaneously. So let me say if you're working on the let me say you guys are creating a portfolio, for instance, you can be working on the home page while the person is working on the about page. So the person doesn't have to wait for you to finish working on the home page and then take over and then start working on the about page. So you guys can be working on it simultaneously. Then once you're done, you guys can merge the two of them together. So that's what Git branching does for you. So I'll be teaching you guys how to do that, how to create different branches, how to merge them into each other and stuff like that. So the first command we'll be looking at is git branch. So I like to go to like the previous ones to be working, the previous repository created. So to list the branches that have been created, you just do git branch. And then as you can see, it's only the default branch that we have, which is the main branch. So I like to create another branch. So if you want to create another branch, the command is git branch. Then you now type in the name of the branch you want to create. So you do git branch, and it has to be explanatory. Like the branch you're creating has to be something that is in relation to what you're actually working on at that point. So let me say you want to work on a feature that is the home page. You want to work on the home page, so you can just do git branch, either home page or feature / home page. So it's just basically up to you for now. But then in the future, when you're working with a group of people, then you guys will now have a particular naming nomenclature that you guys will be using. So everybody will be like on board and stuff. So now I'm just going to use git branch. So let's say we'll be working on the HTML and CSS part. So let me just do git branch. So it's going to create a branch called HTML for me here. So in order to see the branches I have, I can just do git branch. So you see the two branches I have right now, main and HTML. And the main is shining green because I'm currently on the main branch. So if you want to check out to the HTML branch, you use the git command git checkout and then the name of the branch. So it switches to the branch called HTML. So I'll do git checkout, then HTML. So it's going to take me to the HTML branch. So if I do git branch now, as you can see, I'm in the HTML branch now. You see now is the HTML branch is signing green, showing that that's the branch I'm currently going to work on now. And as you're doing this, the good thing about it is that it's going to be corresponding with your VS Code. So if I change, like now you can see that I changed it in my terminal to the HTML branch. You see that right now I'm also currently on the HTML branch here in my VS Code. So if I change back to my main branch using git branch, git checkout, main, you see that my VS Code, it has practically changed to main branch. So, but then I want to work on the HTML branch, not the main branch. So I'll change back to the HTML. So let's just write some basic HTML, just And if you guys don't know how I did this, so basically you just do exclamation mark and then press enter. Then this will come out. Then you can now just start writing your codes from here. So I'll give it a title of index.html. Then you can now write, let me just write, just so I can be able to push something and show you guys how it's done. Sorry. Okay. There are also other ways of actually creating. You can use this git checkout -b to create a branch and at the same time check out to it. So I think we should try that before we actually push. Let me just show you guys how it's done. So git checkout -b, and then the name of the branch you want to create and check out to. So let me just say CSS. So it has created it and then checked out to the CSS branch. So if you go here, you see that I'm in the CSS branch. So now I can now make changes to the CSS file. And I don't know. Let me just give it some basic styling. Or let me just work with what we have now, because there's nothing to actually style. I'm not here to teach you guys how to code, just teach you guys how to work with Git and GitHub. So right now we made changes to our HTML file. But then if we navigate to main, we see that the main is actually, the changes has not yet appeared on main. So let me go to main and you guys, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Check out main. Okay. Or did I work on my HTML? HTML. Oh. Okay, I think I worked on my main before I created the HTML branch. So let me add something else to the HTML branch. So let me add another. Let me just add a description. So the next command I'll be teaching you guys now is the merging. How to merge when you're done working in one branch. Main branch is the default branch that GitHub creates for you. So that's like the main branch. That's why it's called main, because it's the main branch. So I'm teaching you guys how to merge. So then, like now I'm done working on the HTML branch. And then if you want to merge it into another branch, let me say, like how I explained, like if someone is working on the home page and another person is working on the about page, then once you guys are done working on the both of them, you guys can now, you can check out into another one and then merge the one you are working on into the one that you created it from. So let me just give an example. So now I finished working on the HTML page. So I will have to check out to main, which I already did. So now I'm in main now. So if I want to merge what I did in the HTML branch into main, so I'll now use the git merge branch as I listed here. So it's just git merge, then the branch you're merging from. So it merges the branch called branch into the current branch. So you're merging from the HTML into the current branch that you're in at that moment. So it's going to be git merge HTML. But it's already up to date, but if it was behind, then that would have worked. But then I created my HTML from my main branch. So that's why they are actually in line at this moment. But then that's how to merge it in case the one branch is behind the other branch. So now you're done working on your local repository. If you go to your remote repository, you see that the changes I made, they haven't yet appeared here. If you refresh, you see that like it's still the same way it was when I created the repository. All the changes I made in like the files I created and the codes I added, it hasn't yet been uploaded to my GitHub. So that's where the git push command comes in. So it's uploading the changes you made in your local changes to your remote repository, so other people can see what you're working on. So to do this, use the command. Let me clear it so you guys can see better. Git push origin. So I'm currently in the main branch. So I want to push the changes I made to the main branch to my remote repository. So use the command git push origin main. Sorry, first of all, you have to commit before you'll be able to push. So I'll stage it first, git add dot. Then I'll now commit it, git commit -m. Then I'll write a commit message that is in line with what I actually worked on. So I can use add HTML file, which I did. Then it will commit it, and then you can now push to your remote repository with git push origin main. So you give it a little time, then you see that it has already pushed. So if you now go over to your GitHub account and then refresh, you now see that the change, okay, this is not the repository. So right. It's actually this one. You can see that the changes I made, they have now appeared on my remote repository. You see now the code I wrote here, it has appeared here. So this is how to make changes on your local computer and then push it to your remote repository so people can see it. And then another thing about pushing, you don't just write one line of code and then push it to your remote repository. You have to wait like you've written to a stage that is actually, let's say, it's actually making sense. Because you don't just write one line and then push it. You like write something that makes sense. Let me say you write the HTML part, like a section. Then if you write that section, you know it's viable to push. Then you can now stage it and then push it to GitHub. So you don't like have a lot of commits that are not making sense. So that's for push. Then git pull is, let me say, you're working on a branch at a particular time, or you're working on a repository, and then someone else has already made changes. Someone else has already made changes to the repository and then pushed it to GitHub. And then the branch you're working on locally is actually behind with what is actually on GitHub. So let me come again. You're working locally on your system, and then the person you're working with, let me say the developer you're working with, let me say you're working on the about page and someone else working on the home page, and then the person is already done with what the person is writing. Like the person is done with his own section of the code. And then your own, you're still working on yours. So after the person has already pushed to GitHub, you have to pull first, like to see the changes that the person has made, that the changes that are actually on GitHub. In order to see it, you have to pull from GitHub first. So that's where the git pull command comes from. It's the opposite of push. So instead of push, when you're making what is available in your local computer to your remote repository, the remote one that is GitHub, you're actually taking what is on GitHub to your local computer to be able to continue working on it. So that's the git pull command. And it's basically just the same with git push. It's just git, you have to navigate to the branch you want to pull. Let me say I'm on main right now, and then I want to pull a HTML. So first of all, you have to navigate to the HTML branch. So git checkout HTML. Then I can now pull from what the person worked on the HTML file using git pull. Here. But right now, there is nothing to pull because I haven't actually made any changes. But then if I made changes, all you have to do is just do git pull, and then it pulls. But then if you want to pull from somewhere else, let me say you want to pull from the main, you can just do git pull origin. This is basically pulling from your remote repository and the main branch. So this signifies the remote repository, and then this signifies the branch you're pulling from, as we did in the push command, where we did git push origin main. So it's basically just the same syntax, but the difference is that one you're pushing and this one you're pulling. So you just have to be mindful of the branch you're pulling from, and then be mindful of the branch you're pushing to, so you don't make mistakes, because once you make mistake, it's hard to like reverse the changes. So always be mindful of the branch you're pushing into, so you don't get push into the wrong file and then cause lots of conflict. So another thing I'm be talking about is forking a repository. So it's basically on GitHub. On GitHub like this, let me say there is a repository, someone else's repository that you want to work on, but you don't want to make changes to the person's files. Let me say someone wrote a code like this. I wrote this code. I worked on this code like this, and then I want to have this code on my repository and then make changes to it, but not on the person's page. You actually have to fork the repository first. You don't have to make changes to it. So let me give an example. Let's perhaps to navigate to someone else's repository. So let me use this. So let me say I come to this person's repository now, and then I see that the person is working on a repository. And you want to have a copy of this repository on your own page. So all you have to do is to make a copy of it. So if you fork the repository, then the repository will now be on your own page. Then you can now give it a name, or you can leave it at the same name. But basically, you'll be given the option to do all of these things. You can change name and give it another name, or change description. So it's going to make a copy of the person's repository. So once you've created yours, you can now go ahead and now clone it the same way that you cloned your own personal, the same way I showed you guys how to clone a repository. So you can go ahead and clone it and then make changes to it and then push it to your remote repository. So it's just basically starting your work where the person stopped. So you clone it from the person's repository, you fork it, sorry, from the person's repository, and then clone it to your local repository, and then you can now continue working on it. So it's just basically the same process. So now if I go back to my repository, I'll now see that I have a copy of the person's repository as mine. See it here. So once the person makes changes to this file, it will also appear here. So now I can now make changes to this one on my local computer, because then you can't make changes to another person's file because the person has ownership of it, or this person adds you as a collaborator. But if the person doesn't and you want to make changes to it and then see the changes appear on your own system, you have to fork it first to be able to clone it and then work on it. So I told you guys I'll be teaching you how to write a README. So I think this is the last thing we'll be talking about today, because GitHub is a very easy topic. It's very straightforward. It's just basically using an app. It's just the easier version of Git. So earlier on, when I created this, I created a README file with it, but then it's empty. So to be able to write a README, so let me show you what it's supposed to look like with one I've written. So what the README basically does is that once someone clicks on the project, on the repository, the README is the first thing that appears. So it shows the person what the app is supposed to do, and basically how the person can use the code base the person wanted to use it. So it's just a rundown, or just a brief description of what the project is actually about and how to use it. So this is actually the one I wrote. So you can actually do that using HTML or then a markdown language. So I don't expect you guys to know this now, but then you guys can write it using HTML, because that one I think I wrote it using HTML. So if you come here, you see that it's just the basic HTML that you guys have been writing. Actually, there's actually a button to push code, but then it's not advisable for you to use that once you're still starting. Because I think VS Code has an extension for that. But then I'll advise you to start with your terminal first. Then once you've already become accustomed to that one, then you can now move over to GitHub. That's if you want. But then you might actually enjoy it and then just be using it on a daily basis. So as you can see, my README file is actually just the basic HTML you've been writing. Just the basic HTML. So But then with time, you can actually learn the Markdown language because that one is much more better. You can do a whole lot of more things with that. So, but right now, I don't expect you guys to know that yet. So you can just use the basic HTML that you guys have been taught to write a README file. But then it's very, 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 very important for you to have a README file at the base of your project. So I won't be going ahead to like write the HTML. So I'm just going to copy the ones I've written before and then paste it. I think my network is bad or something. Okay. So I put this for you guys in the slide. So you can just like have a base of how a README should look like. So I'll go over a few things about writing a README files. So you have to make sure that description is very clear, because the person that is reading your code does not know what you wrote. The person does not know the steps you took in order to achieve what you achieved. So you have to make sure that the description you're writing for the person is actually clear and the person can actually understand it. Don't go and start writing long grammar using like all these developers big words. Just bring it down so the person can actually follow and understand what it's about. Then you provide a step-by-step instruction on how the person can actually use the app. So as you can see, and in this one I wrote, I think this, okay, it's not that. Okay, this one. When I actually wrote this, like you write how the person can use it in case someone wants to use the app. So you just basically clone it and open it in VS Code, and then just because some of the apps you're actually creating, there will actually be things that the person will need to install in order to run it. And if you don't write it here for the person won't be able to know. And then once the person runs it will actually fail something like that. So you have to like write a step-by-step detailed description on how the person can be able to use it and then get it to run. So here I just wrote what the app does. So it's a to-do list. So it's going to be able to, you're going to be able to impute a field and then add a to-do list to the list of to-dos that are already there. And then you can be able to mark a task as complete or check the task as complete. And then you can also delete it too. So these are just the basic things that the app does. So you have to provide all this in your README file. Someone raised his hand. Do you have a question? If you have a question, you can drop it in the chat. With post on GitHub for everyone. How is it? Is your code exposing any private thing? Like GitHub is like an open source place, so everybody can. Someone is actually allowed for someone to actually clone or fork your project and then use it. It's not actually violating any, unless maybe, I don't know, did you like write any personal thing on your code that you don't want anybody to see? So basically, that's the same way that everybody can actually learn, because sometimes when I'm working on a project I don't really know much about it. The first thing you do is to actually go on GitHub and go and look at what other people have done. So if you look at what other people have done, you'll be able to know how to do your own. So it's just basically an open source place. So you can actually, as you're learning, as people are learning from your code, you're also learning from people's code. So it's just, that's how GitHub is, and it's actually a good feature, if you ask me. The README is just basic HTML, as I wrote. But then when writing a README, you have to make it very descriptive. So someone that is coming to your project for the first time, the person doesn't know what you wrote. The person doesn't know what to use to write it, and the person doesn't know how to make it work. So this README now is just like a guide for the person. So once the person comes on your app and the person wants to know what it does, so the person can actually get to use it and actually run it, and then it will run. So here, I wrote a description of what the file is about. Here, if you've deployed it, you add a link, but if you haven't, that's fine. I don't think you guys have reached that step yet. Then I wrote the features, like what the app does, what the app was designed to do. Then I added what I used to build the app, and then how the person can get to use the app in case the person wanted. So all these things, I actually provided it in a GitHub gist for you guys. So all you have to do is just click this link, and then you get to see just the base of how it's like what I used. Then you can now walk off this one and then be able to do your own. But then you can get creative and add whatever you want to do, you want to add. So it's not like you must follow this particular you can actually get creative and do what you like. Yeah, the slides will be uploaded to you guys. I don't think I'm supposed to talk about how to fix conflict. My class is just basically GitHub. So I don't really know what the person that taught you Git actually taught you guys. So what I'm supposed to teach is just how to create an account and use GitHub and push from your local computer to your. But then if you guys have problem with that, I can actually drop a link on how to resolve conflict. So that's basically it for a README. Then these are just resources that you can use. This is my GitHub profile in case you need a base to start. Because another thing about GitHub, I think I forgot to mention. You have to like have a bio, like put a profile picture and everything. So someone that comes to your, because this is like basically your portfolio. This is the first portfolio you have to have as a developer is your GitHub account. So you have to make it descriptive enough. So someone that comes to your page will actually know what you do. So the person can actually get to know you and know what you're actually working on. So imagine if here was empty and everything was just blank, it wouldn't be, let's say, attractive or something to the person that comes to your account. So in order to like configure your GitHub account, you can actually go here you click on this drop down here, then click on your profile. You click on your profile, it takes you to your home page, and then you click on edit profile. So you can now be able to edit either your picture, you can change it if you want, or your name. You can edit and then upload a bio. And then here you upload your social accounts. Okay, let me take it step by step. So you can upload your profile picture here. This is just, I don't think I even need to explain much on this, but then let me just go ahead. Change your name. Here you upload your bio. So what will show on your bio once someone clicks on your account? Then you can now upload all your social accounts. So in case someone wants to be able to reach you, this is how they're going to be able to reach you. And then your company, your location, and everything. And then you now click on update profile. So it's expected that you guys will actually configure your GitHub profile to be pleasant in the eyes. So anybody that comes there will actually get a brief description on what you're actually working on and what you actually do before the person can actually go ahead and DM you or text you or something. If you don't want to use GitHub, I don't know, there are no other alternative. You have to be able to learn how to use GitHub. I think it's a must if you want to become a developer, because this is where every developer upload their codes to. You can't be sending someone to somewhere else once the person wants to see your code. It has to be GitHub. Is there any topic you guys did not really get that can go over on? Because no one has actually asked any question. So do I assume that you guys understood everything? If that's all, I think we're actually done for today. I don't know if Edozie is still here.
Yes, I'm still here actually. Well, I was doing something. So are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Sorry, I was distracted for a second.
No problem.
So I think the questions will come in because the comment section is crazy. People that are lamenting about how GitHub is something and it's easy for someone said this today easy for me. Today easy for me now. I've been coding for like 2 years, but all of them are practice. So Jonah's hand is already up. So the time is 9:30. So we have 30 minutes basically. But I don't want it to reach that 10 o'clock. But we'll just try and take questions. Please promise mute your mic. Jonah, you can speak. You can ask Adobe your question.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Please, I want to ask, must you be in HTML branch before you can work on it? Or
no, I said, must you be what?
Must you be in a HTML branch?
What do you say must you be what?
You say? Can you hear me?
Before, no, you wasn't. Like, I guess you wanted to. Like, because most times, if you're working as a developer, like in a professional environment, and you're working on a project, you won't like get to work on a project alone. You most likely be working with someone. So the person won't have to wait for you to finish working on a particular part of or a particular feature of the project before the person will take over. So that's just like basically if someone else is working on this and then you're working on that. So let me just, I just give an example. If someone is working on the HTML and then you're working on CSS or something here, so you have to create a branch and name it what you're actually working on. And then the other person will create another branch and name it what the person is working on. But for now, when you guys, you're just working on your project and it's only you, then you can actually have just one branch, which is the main branch. So I just give an example, just in case you guys get to like work on projects with some other people in the future.
Sorry, please, can you go to your VS Code? I want to show you something. Okay, down there that we have HTML, this branch here. So I'm asking, must you be in this branch before you write your code there? Like if this phrase is main.
I said no, you can switch over to main and then do the same thing if you wanted to. Like I said,
okay.
no, you mustn't.
Okay. So secondary, ma. In your README file, like in that GitHub, I'm not seeing HTML tags, but in this one here, I'm seeing HTML tags. I don't know.
So you know when you write HTML and you click on go live, or you run it and then it actually runs and then takes you to your let's say your browser, and then you see what you're working on, right? So that's how you guys write your code, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's basically what just happened here. So you just write it in HTML, and when you wrote it in HTML, that's where it will appear. So this is not your normal .html, .md. So it's just, this is a README file. It's just going to take and everything that you input. Like now you put this one inside, I put this one inside H1. So what will actually appear is a H1 text, as you can see here. So this is a H1 text. This is a P text. So this is just basically how you write your HTML code and click on go live, and then it will, what is showing is what is going to now show on your HTML your readme.md. So this is different from your .html. This one is .md.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right. So the next person is Promise Uka. Promise Uka. Okay.
So good evening.
Good evening.
Sorry, I actually had issues with my network. So my problem is just how to start up the whole process. Just the starting point, I was not there. I came in late. Then secondly, I did not understand the cloning part of it also. Thank you.
Okay, I actually did that cloning part twice, but let me just run through it quickly again, because GitHub is actually not hard. It's like one of the easiest. That's why this is where people start from. People start from Git and GitHub, because it's like one of the easiest things when learning how to code. So, okay, I think I should. Is it just the cloning part, right?
I actually said the startup from the beginning, just the beginning part, where to
like start. From creating a repository or from cloning?
Creating a repository.
So if you come to your home page like this, you're going to see this new here. You have to navigate to repositories first, because if you come to your home page, you'll be in overview. So you have to navigate to your repository first. Then you click on new, or you click on this plus and click on new repository. So anyone you want. So you click on new. Then to take you to here when you create the repository. Then you now input the repository name. then the description, what the repository is about. Then you click on either public or private. Public is to be available to everybody, so everybody will be able to view it. Then private is only you will be able to see it. Then you click on add a README file. Then you go ahead and create a repository. Then once it has been created, you click on code, so you'll be able to copy the link. So the link is going to be here. If you click on code, you see the link, and then you copy it. Then you go to your terminal and then clone it with the command git clone. Then you now paste. But first of all, you have to make sure you're in the folder that you want to clone it to. So now I'm in the wrong folder. So you have to navigate to the folder I want to clone it to. So I'm going to clone it inside my desktop folder. So I'm going to git clone. Okay, let's copy it again. Then paste. Then it's going to clone the repository. That's all. Is that easy? Then to open it in VS Code, you just write code dot. No, first of all, you have to navigate to inside the file, cd testing, then code. Then you open it with VS Code. Then you can now start working on it. So this is the repository now on VS Code. You can now go ahead and create your files or create your folders and start working on the project. So any other question?
All right, thank you so much. I think that's all.
You're welcome.
Guys, fine. Fine, Amma.
Hello, ma.
Hello.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
I
Ma,
can hear
I
you.
want to ask. Okay, I
All
want to
this,
ask.
ma.
How can
My
I?
name is Adobe. Let's just, you don't need to call me, ma. Just call me Adobe.
Okay. How can I retrieve my project from GitHub to my VS Code and do some adjustments?
That's basically the cloning we just talked about. This cloning we just did now, that's it. That's just it. You saw the way I cloned it, and then now I is on my GitHub. So that's what I did.
Okay.
And if there's anytime like along the road you like misplace your local file, you can still go back to your GitHub and clone it again. So it's just there permanently. So even if you like change your system and stuff and you start using that system, you can go back again and clone all the projects you've worked on. So that's just the advantages of using GitHub.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, any other question? Is there another question?
I don't know if it's just me. I'm not hearing you guys clearly. One
I
who's
think
unmuting their mic. Go to search Anthony. Why is your mic unmuted? Adobe, are you done with the last guy that asked the question? Adobe, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Are you done with the last guy that asked the question? I think
Yeah, I'm done with him.
okay, there's just one more person that is raising up his hand. So I think we'll just answer that question and we'll be done for today.
All right.
So Kenechukwu, you can speak. Only Samuel, please mute your mic. We don't want people with unmuted mic.
Good evening, Miss.
Good evening.
Okay, please, my question goes like this. It's like what the last person asked. After the cloning and making your changes in your VS Code, then do you have
Yeah.
to like go to your go to git add, then git commit, and then push it back to your GitHub?
Yes. Just git add, git commit, and then git push origin. I went through that, and I also included it here in case.
Okay. Another question like I want to get after your like each file or each repository that you create has to have a readme file that you describe, and like I saw what you were saying that we should do so that someone that wants to copy your file or your
Project.
code, your project, like will now understand and know how to work on it. So like in each report, you have to like edict all those things for it to be specified on that particular project you are working on.
You know, like what that's base I provided is just like the starting guide. You can go and read like articles and stuff. You can re-edit it to like fit your project. If you can add more things if you wanted to. So that's just like the basic things that I usually add, like me personally. So that's just what I do for my own. So you can do your own to fit your own project or to fit your own style. Like it's just HTML, the code you're writing. So you can just freestyle it. You guys are developers.
Okay, no
But then just
problem.
make sure it's well detailed. Someone that actually comes to your project or comes to your code base can be able to like get started easy. So it's not like be difficult for the person.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much for the class. I really enjoyed it. God bless you.
All right. Kenechukwu, thank you so much for being the last person to ask question on today's call. I'm very grateful. He's not that person asking question while late. Why is Francis Bernard? Well, okay, let me allay you guys fear. This is just to answer Igwe Cyprian. Now, Cyprian, I don't think there's anybody on this call that has been fearful of anything as regards programming or Git in particular compared to me. I was scared about Git. I was scared about Git for a long time, but how these things work eventually is that you have to keep on practicing. When you practice and practice and practice, you get familiar with it. And the thing is that you guys are limiting yourself only to this particular call, only to this particular section. That is what is the problem. If you guys will go online, go to YouTube, ask questions, go and use other sites, you get. If you guys do that, you will not have this problem. The internet is going to who is writing I don't practice tire. The internet is free for you guys, it's available to you guys. So always make use of it, always use for your advantage, always learn, always try to learn. Don't limit yourself, to only this session. You will not grow like that. Why we give you guys lessons, assignments, is that as you are doing the assignment, we want you guys to go and make research. You understand? Like Adobe is just saying now, you have to practice to get better. At first, it will seem so strange to you. Even me, when I was small, when I was learning algebra in primary 6, it felt like my head will explode. But look at me now. I can do differential mathematics and the rest of those kind of rubbish. You get? So Joanne is asking about the slide. I will provide the slide to you on Discord. Adobe send it to me this night, and I will send it to you on your Discord channel this night. So don't worry about anything. Just keep on practicing. The videos are there. And that this particular video, like I said, we'll upload it on Wednesday. So other videos are there. You can always check YouTube. You can always check. YouTube is one of the best places you can go to as a programmer. GitHub has documentation. You can read about all these things. You can just simply browse about them and you will get them. You understand? So there's no need to be frightened. There's no need to be fearful for anything. You are still starting out, and don't feel like an imposter. Don't feel like everything will go wrong. You just have to practice and practice and practice, and you'll become fine. You'll become better at it. I'm very, very sure. Okay, so all of these things, they take time. I'm not expecting anybody to master Git in 2 days or 1 day or 1 week. You can get better over time. You get, even failure itself. I'm sounding like a motivational speaker now. Failure itself is a part of success. Now, failure does not mean that it's going to be the end of the road. Failure means that it can be a stepping stone for you to learn more things. So just have that mindset, have that growth mindset, have the mindset of everything and anything is learnable, and you'll be fine. So is that good? Say we need motivation. I'm not a motivational speaker, please. Even me, I need motivation to do some things. But it's all good. You guys will be fine. Yeah? It's not that bad. So with this, we have all come to the end of the call. We've all come to the end of the call. I want to especially appreciate Adobe. Adobe, thank you so much. Your slide was so rich. Like, you took your time to write the slide and everything. Thank you so much for this. Shout out to every other person that came early. The people that came early, not the people that came late. Because when we started this call, we had only like 16 people before we now waited and did icebreaker. So please, I always want to tell you guys, please, the earlier you guys come and the earlier we start, the faster we can finish this call. So thank you all for coming. Please remember to go and use other resources. Remember to go on YouTube. Remember to check. Remember to browse the internet. Remember to always ask people questions, you get. And above all, remember to practice. Development requires you using your hand. Development requires using your fingers to code. If you sit down and you're just reading documentation and reading and you will not learn, you have to practice it with your hand. You have to do it yourself. You have to do and fail sometimes and try sometimes before you get it. So please, that's just it. So Adobe, thank you so much. I'm really grateful you took up this opportunity, even with a lot of things you had on your plate. I should tell my lecturer. So thank you so much, Adobe. Thank you to everyone. Shout out to everyone. Thank you, guys. See you guys soon. And also, I want to say we have a master class coming up on Tuesday by 8 p.m. for the web development guys. So I'll keep you guys updated about it. So let's take care. See you guys soon. Bye-bye. Bye. So yeah, also, sorry, before I dismiss, an assignment will be coming up soon. So people should just be practicing. Don't go and sleep or don't go and eat Sunday rice and get tired. Assignment is going to show up soon. So keep on doing what you are doing. All right, now, take care. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.